Hello and welcome back to On to the Next Thing. I'm Michael, your host, and today we're going to talk about the final process that I went through for canceling my Shudder account, mostly through watching my final movie, Piranha, 1978 horror comedy classic. Um, and in the process of that, we're also going to discuss a bit of a rabbit hole that I went down, and the madness that it kindled in me on that strange night when I finally canceled Shudder. But first, we're gonna get a little bit into bird news. I'm gonna try and keep this quick because I'm using a different recording software, let's say, to try and get the screen grab so I can show visually the rabbit hole that I went down. Ugh, gotta cut that out. That's okay though. I'm just going to run through some headlines. So Australia is voting on their 2025 Bird of the Year. Found this in The Guardian. There's a whole list of birds that uh, it took a really long time to read in my last attempt at recording this. But it's from little penguins to very big cassowaries. Every bird has its fans. Vote for your favorite in the 2025 Guardian/BirdLife Australia Bird of the Year vote. Awesome. Uh, yeah, BBC has a thing about bird flu and a chicken culling. Cornell Chronicle has an article on birds' vocal warnings and how they provide a new insight into the origins of language. But that's too long. Peak migration season brings millions of birds over Washington state skies this weekend. That's boring because it's just migration season. That's how the fucking birds work. This one is interesting. Nairobi's Birdman, rescuing raptors on the streets of Kenya's capital. It's from Al Jazeera. But it was also a very long article, and I decided that I wanted to maybe do a little bit more of a serious project about that later in the year. Perhaps next episode. I don't know. Um, Other ones, bird enthusiasts stunned as long absent species returns to U.S. region. Here's what happened. So I guess you can see what species that was. Scroll, scroll, scroll. Certain species. Scroll, scroll, scroll. Merlins, pileated woodpeckers, and sandhill cranes. Awesome. Pileated woodpeckers are pretty cool. They used to be pretty rare, I guess, which makes sense because it was kind of a big deal when I spotted one a few years back. But I guess if they've been coming back, they've been coming back. That's cool. Hey, glad we stopped using DDT. Anyway, back to the headlines. There was one more. Oh shit, this one, right. This is from The Independent. One of two hawks stolen from an NFL stadium is found as police hunt for the missing bird. The birds aren't mascots, but rather work to make sure the football games go on smoothly. Holy shit, are these fucking working? Are these working birds out here? They're stolen from SoFi Stadium. One of two hawks stolen from SoFi Stadium during an NFL game last week has been found as police continue to search for the other. The hawks, which are trained and employed with the Los Angeles area stadium to keep the other birds away during football games, went missing on September 28th as the Los Angeles Rams beat the Indianapolis Colts 27 to 20. One of the missing hawks, Bubba, was found in Hacienda Heights by a homeowner who spotted them in her backyard, NBC4 Los Angeles reported. I made arrangements, got over there as quick as I could, and got Bubba back, said Charles Cogger, the bird's owner. Cogger noted that finding Bubba gave him hope that they would soon find Alice, the other missing raptor. Bubba's condition upon his return was not immediately known. Cogger initially told the police that the two birds were found dead in bags, but later learned that dead birds were actually quails used to feed the hawks. How the fuck do you make that mistake? The shocking theft occurred shortly after 2 p.m. on September 28th when a maroon two-seat Kawasaki utility task vehicle carrying the two birds was stolen from near the stadium's lake area, the Inglewood Police Department said. The birds aren't mascots for the team, but rather work to ensure, yeah, no shit, it's the fucking Rams, not the fucking Hawks. The birds aren't mascots for the team, but rather work to ensure that all the football games at the stadium go on without a hitch. The two hawks are typically deployed by a handler to deter other birds from flying down to the stadium during an event. Harris hawks are not considered threatened or endangered, though raptors are protected under the Migratory Bird Treaty Act, which prohibits harassment or hunting of these birds. They have broad wings, long tails with dark bands and wide tips, and brown shoulder patches. Witnesses saw a suspect. Fuck. Goddamn. Witnesses saw a suspect drive the UTV off of SoFi Stadium property, and it was last seen at the Century Village shopping area, a little over a mile away, police said. Authorities described the suspect as a black man wearing a black shirt and a black jacket with a black stripe down the black shoulder. Okay. Authorities described the suspect as a black man wearing a black shirt and a jacket with a white stripe down the shoulder, as well as black pants and black shoes, KTLA reported. Police are asking for the public to come forward with any information about the stolen birds or the suspected thief. That's fucking wild. I can't believe I didn't see that last week. I recorded an episode last week and this didn't come up. That's why I gotta scroll through bird news. I gotta do a rundown in the beginning and then pick out the best ones. Because usually I just go for the top like two articles, and usually it's just some bullshit related to bird watching. But this is something. This is not only bird news, this is bird crime. And there needs to be bird justice. Also, in other news, due to the government shutdown, there's no jobs report. I'm sure this will be fine for everyone trying to start their career right now. Anyway, moving on to Piranha, the movie. I don't have that much to say about this. I wrote down some notes like 3 weeks ago about this movie, but I didn't even write down who directed it or who is starring. So I can do that. It was directed by Joe Dante, who is relatively, oh yeah, yeah, he made Gremlins. So or no, he didn't. Did he make Gremlins or did he do the special effects for Gremlins? Oh yeah, he directed Gremlins. Now, all right, hang on. Brain. Uh, wow. Okay, I'm glad I never talked about Gremlins because this is me thinking that Gremlins was a Steven Spielberg film. And I thought that it was Steven Spielberg for my entire life. Steven Spielberg was the executive producer, but I thought this was a movie he directed. Holy shit. That's who Joe Dante is. I've heard of that guy's name. This is so unbelievably embarrassing. This has nothing to do with the rabbit hole, by the way. This is something completely different. Um, but it's kind of funny because it was meant to kind of cash in on the success of Jaws, which was a Spielberg film. And then a little while later, Joe Dante got to work with Spielberg. That's pretty crazy. Um, Holy shit, I'm actually taken aback by that and how garbage I am at fucking movie trivia and movie knowledge. But yeah, it's a 1978 creature feature. You know me and my creature features. I love when they're done well. This one was done well enough, but very cheaply, and you can tell. Uh, the piranha on the cover, not the actual size of the piranha in the movie, I'll tell you that much. But it's starring a lot of old names, which you would expect from an old ass movie like this. Names that I literally have not heard of before, and haven't even clicked on, as you can tell by the unclicked uh, unclicked links here. Got Bradford Dillman, Heather Menzies, Kevin McCarthy. I think I might have heard of Kevin. Yeah, I've definitely heard and seen Kevin McCarthy. Oh, he was the lead in Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Oh, but he was the in the old Invasion of the Body Snatchers. So yeah, haven't seen him. Keenan Wynn, I've probably seen him before. Barbara Steele sounds like something, but she's British. Okay, so maybe never mind. Dick Miller, definitely heard of Dick Miller. And then Belinda Balaski. Huh. Oh, yeah, right. That's a crossover from. I haven't talked about The Howling before, not on this show anyway. But Belinda Balaski was in a beloved werewolf movie of mine, The Howling, which is not as good as An American Werewolf in London, but is a little better than Ginger Snaps, and is absolutely better than a lot of other werewolf movies out there. So I give it that much. And yeah, she's in that. She's yeah, pretty cool. She was in like her late 30s and 40s at the time. So, it's good for her for keeping up those leading lady roles into the especially in the 70s. Think about it, both the sexism and the ageism had to be absolutely horrendous back then. So good on her for keeping up the leading roles and bringing in that cash, hopefully. But anyway, this is a pretty straightforward movie plot. It's classic abandoned military installation creating mutant creatures. Um, in this case, it's like they made the piranhas initially so to be used against the Viet Cong to basically just destroy the river ecosystems and eat Vietnamese people in the rivers in the Mekong Delta. In the Mekong Delta. But then it got shuttered because the war ended. And but this one crazy scientist kept fucking don't read any of the plot, by the way. It's yeah, this one crazy ass scientist basically just kind of kept them alive and kept them going for a while, and now the ones that mutated survived the attempted culling of the mutant piranhas, and yeah, and then because of the river dam is getting like opened up or something, and so now the piranhas can wreak havoc on the public. Oh shit! Oh shit! Um, yeah, so I had a couple notes for this Piranha movie. They're kind of all over the place. I noted that it has a strong female lead and a goofy drunk male lead. And this is definitely something that stands out about the movie. The acting and the basically the acting in and the humor, joke writing in the face of a rather dull and somewhat contrived horror plot. So you have, I guess Bradford Dillman as Paul Grogan gets the leading name in the cast, but really it's Heather Menzies as Maggie McCone who really takes the she really takes the limelight in this movie. Like she's very much the leading source of charisma. Her character is essentially like a repo agent or like a no, not even like a debt collector. Basically, someone they had a term for it like bloodhound or something like that. But basically to track down like a private investigator to track down people who owe money or people who have gone missing or something like that. And her attempt to find this wealthy person's daughter who's gone missing takes her to this kind of remote area in fucking, where is it? Lost River Lake. All right, I guess it's in an unknown location somewhere in the United States, but in this lake, and where we had kind of seen what happened to that character that she was looking for. They got eaten by fucking piranhas because they went swimming in the fucking piranha abandoned military base, fucking water basin for the piranhas. So that was uh that was definitely on them. Um, but yeah, I really liked the characters. I liked their I like their interactions. I like how they kind of played off of each other. There were a lot of little fun jokes peppered in throughout the movie to let you know that it's still a comedy. There wasn't quite enough, I don't think, to counteract the fact that the effects are kind of cheesy and dull and oh, here's another note here. Lackluster kills, I believe. Yep. Kills are boring. Straight up. Yeah, because the problem is that the piranhas, there's piranhas, by the way. It's not just one giant piranha like it is on the cover. They really do they really do trick you with that one. But no, it's a swarm of piranhas. I know I just paused on the link to like Piranha Double D or whatever. Piranha 3 Double D. Just the most like this honestly, I could go down a whole different rabbit hole on all the films that this movie either inspired or was the precursor to, whether directly or indirectly. I know that Piranha 2: The Spawning was actually James Cameron's first feature film, and it had basically nothing to do with Piranha 1. But that's okay. 'Cause that's not really what I'm fucking talking about either. What else did I have on this? Oh, there's a oh, a lot of deadpan delivery. I have this one note that just says "Hold your stomach in, lol." I have no idea what that is. Cool 70s shit. Yeah, cool 70s shit like having a woman who isn't a total idiot in your leading role and kind of playing off the other lead. Yeah, the other lead is fucking God damn it. I just Bradford Dillon as Paul Grogan. And Paul Grogan's basically like he's just like a ruggedly handsome town drunk who's like he's a few years divorced. His daughter lives away from him like most of the year. And she's at the nearby swimming camp and oh shit, well, the piranhas are gonna get to the fucking swimming camp. Oh shit. Yeah, it's stuff like that. But yeah, he plays kind of like a kind of a silly character. He says everything deadpan, but he doesn't play like someone who's like, I'm a drunk, but I'm hardcore, straight edge, tough fucking military guy. No, he's just some like former steel worker who now just kind of like gets drunk all day and hangs out with like this other old crazy drunk man who later gets fucking eaten and then the dude's dog and shit. Um but like, yeah, he's kind of like a loser, and he's sort of his redemption throughout the movie is basically finding reasons to be brave and not being not being a loser who doesn't do anything. And it's actually kind of like a pretty good redemption arc for him, and it leads to a pretty decent sort of punchline at the end of the movie. As I said before, this is technically kind of a horror comedy, or about as horror comedy as any like cheesy, low budget horror movie in the 1970s and 80s could be. But they had definitely some intentional jokes that were mostly funny, not because they were like really cleverly written, but just because of like the deadpan delivery by like the characters. Like I said, the actors really kind of sell this movie. Just if someone's supposed to be a dick, then they're really a dick. If someone's supposed to be kind of a goofy loser, like Bradford Dillman's character, that's who they are. If they're like a if they're like a sort of clumsy but generally intelligent and smarmy um, female repo agent, like Maggie McCown, played by Heather Menzies, then that's who they are. If they're mad scientists, they're a mad scientist. Kevin McCarthy is Dr. Robert Hope. Kevin McCarthy being an actor who I'm 90% sure I recognize from somewhere, but it was probably from a really old movie, but not as old as the 1956 Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Um, yeah. Anything else I can say about this? Yeah, it's mostly boring, but it's kind of fun. Like a lot of 70s movies, it actually has kind of interesting subversive themes in it where it's like, yeah, the big tough male guy isn't always gonna be the one who's like the most capable in any given situation, especially if he's fucking drunk like half of these like half of these old movie stars and half of their characters are all just like drunks, but it's because they're the most capable guy and they've seen some shit. But this guy, he's just a dude. He's just a guy who he lost his job and he lost his wife and now just lives in the fucking woods and sees his daughter like 4 days out of the year or whatever. But yeah, it's yeah, a lot of like interesting subversive stuff. Talks a little bit about Vietnam. It's kind of like it's kind of stereotypical of the late 70s to just kind of be bashing on Vietnam and the fucking military doing irresponsible shit. Uh Similar in the early part of the 80s as well, until basically until Top Gun. Which is a movie that I feel like I could rant about quite a bit, especially if I give it a rewatch and then watch the sequel and that'll really get me going. So maybe I'll do a fucking episode on that. But yeah, this is it's kind of has its fun subversive moments, but mostly it's rather boring, and the piranhas are just little like fucking barely even puppets. They're just like half filmed shapes in the water. And they make a weird little like chattering teeth noise, which is kind of funny when they attack. It's like wow, 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 wow. It's like How are they making that fucking noise? But they make that noise and you can hear it in and out of the water when the piranhas are there, because that noise is meant to signify that the fucking piranhas are there. Yeah. Oh, and at one point there was one scene where they're in the abandoned lab and there's a little mutant man that is running around loose in the lab with no explanation. And never see that fucking creature again. But there is a little creature in the lab, and I guess maybe it was supposed to be a mutant piranha, but we never see that shit again. I swear to God it happened. I swear to God it was there. It doesn't say it. It doesn't say it in the fucking plot here in Wikipedia. But I swear it's in there. You can probably find it if you watch the movie. So I guess if you're gonna watch the movie, watch it for that. But find that little mutant man and you know tell me what was going on with him. Yeah, Joe Dante. Does it say who did the effects? Cinematography, Jamie Anderson. Production, Phil Tippett. Oh my God, yeah, Phil Tippett. So like the piranha effects were kind of ass, but I mean he constructed these I guess these rubber piranha puppets, but they barely even filmed them. It was all like kind of shaky cam bullshit. And but yeah, they wanted oh shit, I didn't read this part. This is me not doing my research. As producer, John Davidson was a fan of stop motion animation. He had wanted to use the technique on the piranhas, but it was unfeasible given the film's budget. As a consolation, Tippett included a stop motion sequence involving a bipedal, fish-headed hybrid creature visually inspired by the work of stop motion animator Ray Harryhausen. Holy shit. That's the creature. That is so fucking funny. I had no Damn, that's why I gotta do this fucking I gotta have this screen sharing thing on more often because it makes me read more. That and you know I would have never figured out what that little bipedal creature was. Apparently it was nothing. I guess it was just a little creature that they wanted in the movie. And they had it like knocking over shit. And that was like kind of what startled the characters and like woke up the fucking mad scientist guy. But yeah, that's crazy. Davidson built the armature for the creature. Hang on. Davidson built the armature for the creature, and Tippett later reused the armature during the production of the 2021 film Mad God. That's who Phil Tippett is. He's the Mad God guy. That's crazy shit. Damn. It's too bad they kind of got underutilized in that movie. Really just making all those little puppets, but like once again, hardly got filmed. You just see blurry fish floating around and making little noises. But that's not even what I really um that was not what occupied my mind for the rest of this evening. Because while I was watching the movie, I was bored as shit. And when I watch old movies, especially, I like to look at the cast because I like to see A, who's still alive, uh, and B, if they, if they are, whether they are or aren't alive, what movies were they in, and were they in any sort of controversy during their time. But I was looking through, Bradford Dillman had a pretty solid career. Kevin McCarthy did too. Um, a lot of these people did, basically. Barbara Steele, she was like an older scream queen, and so she comes back as like an evil government scientist lady. Once again, kind of cool concepts, but it's like, a little bit of a tropey, goofy horror plot. But, you know, the like I said, the Phil Tippett did the special effects, and they underutilized him with the piranhas, but the blood and like the bite the bite effects and the bite makeup all look really kind of they look pretty gruesome. It looks pretty gruesome and it can look pretty nasty even if nothing really happens on screen. Um, but yeah, I'd watch this movie for a variety of reasons, but that's definitely one of them. Especially now that I know Phil Tippett was involved and he just made a little fucking a little fucking puppet creature for no reason. That's so funny. But yeah, I went down the list and I eventually got to Bruce Gordon. Bruce Gordon, look at this motherfucker. He is beefy. Was beefy. He's definitely dead. Yeah, 1916 to 2011. He was old though, 94 when he died. He's also born in Fitchburg, Massachusetts, which is a part of Massachusetts that definitely sucks now, but it's kind of cool to know that someone used to live there. Um, but over the course of this, I looked through some of his I looked through some of his little or his filmography, and I basically went through not the Naked City, not that one, not that one, not that one, this one, Love Happy, 1949, featuring the Marx Brothers, and I was like, the Marx Brothers, who are those guys? Not Karl Marx. This was like a couple generations later, but these guys were really old. They were like a vaudeville act, right? They were a vaudeville act basically that went into movies doing like, kind of more, a little bit more edgier comedy for the time. You had like, you've probably heard of like Groucho Marx. Um, but there's also, I guess that there were a bunch of them. I really only knew about Groucho, but I guess there was also Chico, Harpo, and Gummo and Zeppo. And I had no fucking idea like who these well, I knew who these guys were. I knew they were famous comedians from a long, long time ago. And that just tells you how old this dude was. It was like his third film that he starred in, and he was already like in his 30s by then. He was already in his mid 30s starring in a fucking Marx Brothers movie, which is crazy. But let's get out of that. Let's get out of it. I look at some of these other ones. He basically just plays a big tough guy in everything that he's in. He doesn't do that many he didn't do that many films. I guess he was in kind of like other stuff. He was in like TV and things like that. Usually seemed to play like a big tough guy like this. Come on, look at this beefy motherfucker. Anyway, I digress. Marx Brothers. Got to get to this. Love Happy. Marx Brothers. Chico, Harpo, Groucho. Looked up Groucho to see how he did. I believe he died of tuberculosis, which definitely sucks. What's that? Hospitalized? Pneumonia, not tuberculosis, but classic old man thing. He was actually old, like once again, he was 86 in 1977. So that tells you how old the other guy was to have worked alongside him. Um, but there's definitely, yeah, you look at some of this stuff and yeah, ooh, love happy. Love happy. Look at all this stuff. Look at all these things. Solo, he did a lot with his brothers. Especially early on. And then his brother Zeppo either died or left. I think one of the brothers died pretty early, and then the other ones just kind of died one after another. But in his solo work, he had a movie called Copacabana. Now, Copacabana was a musical comedy directed by Alfred E. Green, and it had Groucho Marx and Carmen Miranda, which is another name that's so old it's something that I remember my mom referencing, and Steve Cochran, who I believe I also know of as a old famous actor. But Copacabana, I wasn't really that interested in Copacabana, but it set off something in my brain, and I realized that I knew a song called Copacabana. And it's like that the Copacabana, the hottest spot north of Havana. It's like that, right? Hope I don't get copyrighted by fucking guy. It was no, hang on. It's not just a guy. Um, I gotta figure out his name. Gotta search it. Copacabana. Barry Manilow, of course. He was the banana boat guy, I believe. Or no, not the Banana Boat song guy. I think that was the other dude. Barry Manilow, he had like La Bamba. He had like a lot of Latin inspired tunes. But I was like, oh, Copacabana. What's that song about? What does that mean? Um, and so the song was inspired by a conversation between Manilow. I don't know who Sussman is, but it was basically, or they were either at or talking about the Copacabana Hotel in Rio. And essentially, he was also okay. Once again, it already starts to get confusing here. So it was a conversation between Manilow and some guy named Sussman, which is already pretty fucking Sussman to me, in the Copacabana Hotel in Rio de Janeiro. After returning to the US, he was a regular visitor to the Copacabana nightclub in New York City. Basically, it's just like I guess he was just talking about whether there had ever been a song called Copacabana, which there wasn't, but I guess there was a movie called Copacabana. So I'd say that probably there was a song called Copacabana in the movie, but I guess this guy, Barry Manilow, he wasn't quite as cultured as he thought. He didn't know about the famous Groucho Marx film Copacabana, but is basically it talks about the this fictional showgirl in the Copacabana nightclub in New York, and basically, she loves this guy, but like a wealthier guy likes her, and then he and Tony get in a fight, and then the ensuing brawl ends in a gun being fired, although it's initially unclear who shot who, but it's obviously Tony dies because then she's like drinking herself to death in the fucking bar after it's become a discotheque, which I guess people were already sick of disco by now in 1978, so that tracks. But it still doesn't really tell you what does Copacabana mean? What is this? What is this place? So I looked at the most recent one first. So Copacabana nightclub, it's been around for, it's been around since the 40s basically, and it's right. It's a cool place, but it was supposed to be based off of like the Copacabana beach and the Copacabana hotel in Rio, which is why I feel like it's kind of crazy that they were talking about whether there is a song called Copacabana in the Copacabana hotel, and then made it reference the Copacabana nightclub, not the Copacabana hotel on Copacabana beach in Copacabana, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. All right. Now, I did a little research. The Copacabana Palace, the Belmont Hotel, opened up before the Copacabana nightclub in Brazil. Now, once again, the Copacabana nightclub in New York City. The Copacabana nightclub is named after Copacabana Beach, not the Copacabana Hotel, although the Copacabana Hotel is also named after the Copacabana Beach. And it was made by some like a French dude and like an Italian dude. And they just wanted a large hotel in the nation's capital to host visitors attending the Independence Day, blah, 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 blah. And it's on the really pretty beach, and so it's become a famous place, and now it's owned by Orient Express Hotels, which changed its name to Belmont Limited because obviously Orient Express is a little bit outdated as a phrase, and that doesn't really matter. Okay, point is it's on Copacabana Beach. So I looked up, all right, what's Copacabana Beach? It's located on the Atlantic shore, stretches from Posto 2 in the Lifeguard Watchtower 2 to Posto 6, Lifeguard Watchtower 6. That makes sense. That's what the translations are in, I assume, Brazilian Portuguese. Leme is a Posto. Okay, I don't care about that. There's two historic forts. There's Fort Copacabana, built in 1914, predating the Hotel Copacabana, aka Copacabana Palace, and the Copacabana nightclub in New York City. So you have Fort Copacabana on Copacabana Beach. Oh my God. Yeah, you have Fort Copacabana on Copacabana Beach. And, right, so the district, it was originally called Peñapa. Oh man, that's bad. But yeah, it's Copacabana. You have Copacabana Beach in the neighborhood of Copacabana, which is a Brazilian barrio located in the south zone of Rio de Janeiro. And it's known for its beach, Copacabana Beach. And I guess also the military fort, Fort Copacabana. Fort's Copacabana, yeah, and then the other forts are around on the south end. But yeah, it's called Copacabana Beach. But that still didn't tell me, okay, what's the origin of Copacabana? Okay. It was basically, it was named after the district, which was originally called Sacopena Napa. which is a really poorly pronounced version translated from the Tupi language. And it used to mean the way of the Socos, and the Socos being a kind of heron. But that's not what Copacabana means. It was renamed after the construction of a chapel holding a replica of the Virgin de Copacabana, the patron saint of Bolivia. Okay? Virgin de Copacabana. All right? Bear with me here. All right? It's the blessed Virgin of Copacabana. It's the literal translation version of Copacabana. Figurative translation is Our Lady of Copacabana. The Blessed Virgin, the Candelaria, Our Lady of Copacabana. And so they named this Brazilian beach after a replica of the Virgin de Copacabana, which is the patron saint of Bolivia, which is not Brazil. So this is in Bolivia. She's venerated in Bolivia. Now, the history. So Copacabana is a Bolivian town located on a peninsula in the southeastern shore of Lake Titicaca. It's close to the Isla de Sol and the Isla de la Luna, islands sacred to the Aymara and the Quechua. In the mid-16th century, the inhabitants of Copacabana were divided into two groups, newcomers and then traditional residents. The newcomers being Inca, not the Spanish yet. Despite conversion to Christianity, they continued an attachment to their original religion. Poor harvest led them to consider attracting favor from heaven through a new confraternity. And so they started to venerate the Virgin Mary, while the other people did Saint Sebastian. And so it did not, this other guy, he didn't abandon the idea, okay, created an image of the Madonna, believing it would influence local people. Okay, image of the Virgin. Alright. But, okay, you look through this, you read it, you see all these names that are difficult to pronounce, but you get through it. La Paz, sculpture, priest of Copacabana. Okay, so it's the Virgin Mary in Copacabana. Because the statue was carved in Copacabana, Bolivia, not Copacabana, Brazil. Copacabana, Bolivia, which is what Copacabana, Brazil, and the beach of Copacabana, and the Copacabana Palace, and the Copacabana nightclub, and Fort Copacabana are based on. But what does Copacabana fucking mean? Alright? Let's follow this link to Copacabana. Copacabana, Bolivia. Copacabana is the main Bolivian town on the shore of Lake Titicaca. The town has a large 17th century shrine, the Basilica of Our Lady of Copacabana, dedicated to Our Lady of Copacabana, the patron saint of Bolivia. The town is a tourism destination. It's served by the Copacabana airport. Okay, during the Wars of Independence, the Basilica of Our Lady of Copacabana was despoiled of most of its rich ornaments and gifts. Alright, that's cool, but what is Copacabana? Faith and gifts. Our Lady of Copacabana. Alright, before 1534, Copacabana was an outpost of Inca occupation among dozens of other sites in Bolivia. At Copacabana, there were minor shrines in which the ceremonies of the Incas were observed among those original inhabitants. That was absolutely unlistenable. When the Spaniards first visited the islands of Titicaca and Loadi in 1534 and 1538, the Andean cosmovision were abandoned, and the Dominicans made Copacabana the center of their missions. Okay, that's cool. They converted Copacabana, but why is it called Copacabana? It's edifices, political disturbance, continue to impoverish it. It's a shrine for pilgrims, patron saint. Okay, but what is Copacabana? It's Basilica of Our Lady of Copacabana, 17th century Spanish colonial shrine that houses the image of the Virgin de Copacabana. It's located in the town of Copacabana, Bolivia, on the shores of Lake Titicaca. Alright. It was that indigenous sculptor who carved an image of Nuestra Senora de Virgen de la Candelaria. Alright? So that sounds more like the Virgin of Candelaria. But what does Copacabana mean? What does it mean? There's a statue, alright? It's in there. It's the Virgin de Copacabana. Alright, that's cool. It's because of this statue of this lady, the basically a variant of the Virgin Mary, right? Was brought to Copacabana. But when was it called Copacabana? And what does Copacabana mean? So you go back to Copacabana, and you're like, oh, it's the main Bolivian town on the shore of Lake Titicaca. The town has a large 17th century shrine, the Basilica of Our Lady of Copacabana, dedicated to Our Lady of Copacabana. Alright, but what does that mean? Basilica of Lady Copacabana. Alright, that's cool. You go there, it's in there. And it's in Copacabana, Bolivia, on the shores of Lake Titicaca, which is the main Bolivian town on the shores of Lake Titicaca. And it has a 17th century shrine, the Basilica of Our Lady of Copacabana, dedicated to Our Lady of Copacabana, the patron saint of Bolivia. Alright, well, let's find out what's Copacabana mean. What's the direct translation of Copacabana? Nothing. It refers to the Virgin de Copacabana, which is a sculpture of the Blessed Virgin, or a variation of the Blessed Virgin Mary, patron saint of Bolivia, and it was originally in the town of Copacabana on the southeastern shore of Lake Titicaca, which is a beautiful, beautiful lake with a beautiful, beautiful name. Copacabana. It's the main Bolivian town on the... Do you see what I'm getting at here? Do you see how fucking crazy this made me? You go back and you go back from, okay, Copacabana, Bolivia. Or, well, I guess the furthest you can get to is the Basilica of Our Lady of Copacabana. And basically, right, it was made by this guy. And it's like, oh, he was born in Copacabana. And I'm wondering, was it really Copacabana in 1550? Why did they call it Copacabana? What is Copacabana? Indian calendar, charge of task of making the image. It's just a narrated version. Lady of the Candles, right? The candles isn't Copacabana, so they started calling it Copacabana. But why? Am I stupid here? Am I missing something? You go back to Copacabana, Bolivia. You go back to the Virgin de Copacabana, which comes from the Basilica of Our Lady of Copacabana, which comes back from Copacabana, which comes back from Basilica, which comes back from Copacabana, which comes back from Basilica, from Copacabana, from the Virgin de Copacabana, to Copacabana, Rio de Janeiro, which is based off of Copacabana, Bolivia, which is based off of the Virgin de Copacabana in the Basilica de Copacabana, which doesn't mean anything. And Copacabana, Rio de Janeiro contains Copacabana Beach and the Copacabana Palace, named after the Copacabana Beach, named after the town of Copacabana, named after Copacabana, Bolivia, named after the Virgin de Copacabana, from the Basilica de Copacabana. But it's gibberish. It's all fucking gibberish. You go back further to Copacabana the song, which is about the nightclub, Copacabana nightclub in New York City, which is named after the Copacabana Beach in Copacabana, Rio de Janeiro, where the Copacabana Hotel also resides in, which was the hotel where Barry Manilow and Bruce Sussman, I know his full name now because I've read it so many times, Bruce Sussman talked about how there is no song called Copacabana, which would, I guess, be based off of the nightclub, or the hotel, or the beach, or the town, or the Bolivian town, or the saint. It doesn't make any sense. It's a gibberish word. I guess, and they didn't even watch the movie Copacabana. They didn't even watch the movie. There was a film. It was a musical. It definitely had songs in it. Oh, but the movie Copacabana didn't have a single fucking song named Copacabana. They had a song called Let's Do the Copacabana, which was performed by Carmen Miranda. Cool. But, no. Fucking goddamn it. And this one, I believe, was also based off of the nightclub. Oh my god, vaudeville. Yep. At the Copacabana nightclub. Yep. That's what this one was. This was the Copacabana nightclub one. This was the... And it goes all the way back. It goes all the way back. And this was... I found this all the way back through Groucho Marx and the Marx Brothers. and this stupid fucking movie Love Happy, which doesn't, that's more gibberish words, back to this big beefy Bruce Gordon guy, all the way back to Piranha 1978, which was directed by Joe Dante, who directed the fucking Gremlins, even though I thought the Gremlins was directed by Steven Spielberg for 25 years. I am this old today, 25 years old, and I found out that Gremlins wasn't even fucking directed by Steven Spielberg. And it was all because of fucking Copacabana. And Copacabana doesn't even fucking mean anything. What the fuck was this? God damn it. Fucking Piranha, Copacabana. Hang on, one more time. Let's go all the way forward. Love Happy. Marx Brothers. Groucho. Filmography. Fucking Copacabana. Oh my god, Copacabana. They don't even link Copacabana nightclub. This is a completely and utterly. Oh, nope, it does. This song, Copacabana, by Barry Manilow and Bruce, written by him and Feldman and Bruce Sussman, based on the Copacabana Hotel in Copacabana Beach, in the town of Copacabana, which is named after, it was because I guess they had a reconstruction of a chapel holding a replica of the Virgin de Copacabana, which is the patron saint of Bolivia, and in the fucking town of Copacabana, Bolivia, which is based on the Basilica of Our Lady Copacabana, which is based on the Virgin de Copacabana, which is based on the town of Copacabana, which is based on the Basilica, which is based on the Virgin, which is based on the town, which is based on the Basilica, which is based on the Virgin, which is based on the town, which is based on... It doesn't mean anything. It's a mystery word. Now, if I can pick up an easy direct translation of Copacabana by Googling it right now, I'm going to stop this video dead right here and throw my computer across the room. Copacabana. Meaning. Nope. Okay. Oh, all right. Maybe I won't have to throw my computer. Okay, wait. Original meaning of the word is debated. May come from the Quechua phrase Coda Caguana, meaning view of the lake, or the Aymara phrase Coda Caguana, meaning luminous place. But that's the AI thing. Is there a real fucking source for that? Have you shown me the sources? Bolivian shrine, Rio's name change, linguistic roots. How about that? Where Rio starts. Oh, so I guess this comes from the hotel website, which does not seem like a fucking sounds like bullshit, but they could have just pulled this out of their ass because they just pulled it from the fucking hotel website. So yeah, you know what? Fuck it. There's nothing. Oh wow, turns out Copacabana is a really dark song. Yeah, I know. The reason why you didn't listen too closely to the lyrics is because the song is 70 fucking years old and no one would be listening to it in their day to day. I know. Crazy. Why this world famous beach stole its name from its South American neighbor? Where does it come from? Okay, so this place is saying it might be from the Aymaras, but and the other one was saying it from the Acacia. So Culture Trip and the Copacabana Palace website, they need to hash this out, figure it out. Later, a Spanish scholar discovered that Coda Caguana is the name of an Andean god of fertility, a fact backed up by the unearthing of several shrines dedicated to the deity. Okay, so maybe it's this based on this fertility god. That would be pretty cool. All right, maybe I'm actually finding real information here. Am I actually cracking the mystery right now? This is why I got to do more screen share videos. Bolivian background. The name Cotacabanna was used by the indigenous Aymara people of the Altiplano for centuries before being eventually adopted by the Spanish, who used it for a town they built on Lake Titicaca. Is this cited anywhere? Or is this just like bullshit? Yeah, okay. I know about that guy. Tito Yupanqui. I know of him. He seems cool. And they got the Basilica, and they have yeah, and then they just named it because they had a replica. Is there a source? No, no. I just gotta take Culture Trip's word for it. Great. For fuck's sake, man. All right. I guess that's just one of life's great mysteries. Um, I think that's gonna have to wrap it up for this episode um, of On to the Next Thing. This has been me breaking my brain in half, only to f find at the end of this journey a half-assed, possibly AI written answer with no sources and nothing to back up its claim about a Spanish scholar. They didn't even name the fucking Spanish scholar, Lake Titicaca. However, anything about this? I feel like no. Ah, no, no more Copacabana. No more fucking Copacabana. All right. I think we're done. Yeah, you know what? Hey, if you can figure out what the true meaning of Copacabana is and whether we're all just under the sway of this obscure indigenous South American fertility god, um, and, you know, if you can solve the mystery or find some sources, or perhaps if you're this Spanish scholar that fucking trip Euro, what is this, culture trip, quote unquote, cited in their claim about the origin of Copacabana, um, let me know. Please hit me up at OTNT podcast at gmail.com or on YouTube at OTNT podcast or on Blue Sky at OTNT podcast or and Mastodon at OTNT podcast or Instagram at OTNT podcast. Definitely more social media coming soon, but those are the main ones. So if you have anything for me, any sort of scoop on what the fuck this is and why the fuck it's named that and why have so many places named that and why it's just spiraling in my brain over and over again. If you have any answers to any of these questions, please reach out to me. Please. Anyway, more episodes coming up soon. Said it didn't say it earlier, but today is October 6th, 2025. So hopefully with it by about October 11th or 12th, I'll have another episode recorded and ready, and hopefully I can edit it early before I have to go back out to my real job again. So yeah, you know what? Thank you for listening on this Odyssey of Madness. Um, Check out the Copacabana Club. It's the hottest place. It's the hottest spot north of Havana. And you know, watch out for a drunk aging showgirl named Lola there. Lola possibly, if she was real, she possibly could still be alive. So, you know, if you see a an older woman there in a showgirl outfit, just slamming martinis, make sure to really wave high and get in her face and go, Lola, Lola, like from the song, like from the song. She's gonna love that. All right, that's enough of that. Copacabana signing off. This is on to the next thing. Signing off. Goodbye.